Here is something most experts in the survival community simply will not tell you. It is not the expensive, tactical gear that is going to save you when things go sideways. It is the 27-cent items sitting on the bottom shelf at the grocery store that nobody is thinking about. I have been involved in preparedness for over a decade, and today I'm walking you through 21 dirt cheap items that will be worth their weight in gold when you need them most. I am not talking about the obvious stuff either. You need to pay close attention because item number 17 is something I guarantee you have never thought to stockpile, but it might just become the most valuable thing in your home during a crisis. Let me start with a scenario that illustrates exactly why this matters. Imagine an ice storm knocks out power for 11 days in your area. You might have the food, you might have the water, and you might even have the generator. But do you know what you probably do not have enough of? Garbage bags. It sounds ridiculous, but think about the logistics. No power means your fridge becomes a biohazard within 48 hours. If you are melting snow for water or dealing with waste management without a functioning sewage system, garbage bags become more valuable than almost anything else you had stockpiled. That is when you realize that true preparedness is not just about the big ticket items like solar panels or bunkers. It's about the small, overlooked essentials that make survival livable. Let us dive into item number 1. I'm starting with something you probably already have in your pantry, but I would bet my life you do not have enough of it. Salt. Plain old table salt. You can pick up a 26-ounce container for less than $1 at most grocery stores. Now, before you dismiss this and think you know about salt, hear me out. Salt is one of those miracle items that does way more than season your food. It effectively preserves meat and vegetables without any refrigeration. In a grid-down scenario, the ability to cure meat using salt could be the difference between starving and eating well. It is essential for making jerky, which is a prime survival food. Beyond food, it cleans and disinfects wounds in a pinch. You can use it to clean your teeth when toothpaste runs out by mixing it with water to scrub away plaque. It melts ice on walkways to prevent injuries. You can even use it to extend the life of your clothes by preventing mildew in damp environments. Here is the most critical thing about salt. It never goes bad. Never. You can store it for decades if you keep it dry. In a long-term situation where refrigeration is not available, salt becomes absolutely critical for food preservation. Our ancestors knew this well. Salt was literally currency for thousands of years, and the word salary actually comes from salt. So when I suggest stockpiling salt, I do not mean grabbing one extra container. I mean getting 20 or 30 pounds of it. It is incredibly cheap, it lasts forever, and it possesses more utility than almost anything else on this list. Number 2 is vinegar, specifically white distilled vinegar. You can grab a gallon for around $3. Vinegar is one of those items that punches way above its weight class in terms of utility. It's a powerful cleaning agent, a disinfectant, a food preservative, and a natural weed killer. You can use it to treat minor burns and stings, which helps prevent infection. Mix it with water and you have a natural deodorizer for your living space or gear. It removes rust from tools, which helps maintain your other equipment. It is safe, non-toxic, and shelf-stable for years. I recommend keeping at least 10 gallons of vinegar stored at any given time. That might sound excessive until you realize how quickly you'll go through it if you're using it to clean your home, preserve your garden harvest, and maintain personal hygiene without access to commercial products. Plus, vinegar is one of those items that makes an excellent barter good because most people don't think to stockpile it until they desperately need it for sanitation or pickling. Number 3 is baking soda, another incredibly cheap item that costs maybe $1 per box. Baking soda is basically the multi-tool of household items. You can use it for cooking, obviously, but its chemical properties allow for so much more. It's excellent for brushing teeth, absorbing odors in small spaces, cleaning dishes with minimal water, treating heartburn and acid reflux, which are common in high-stress diets, extinguishing small grease fires, and even acting as a natural pesticide in your survival garden. Like salt and vinegar, baking soda lasts indefinitely if stored properly in airtight containers. I suggest having 20 or 30 boxes tucked away in your storage area, and consider that a minimum baseline. Here is a professional tip for water conservation. If you are dealing with a water shortage and cannot shower regularly, baking soda makes an excellent dry shampoo. Rub it into your scalp, let it sit for a minute, then brush it out. It absorbs oil and odor without using a single drop of water. It is not glamorous, but when you are on day 8 without a shower, it will feel like a luxury. Number 4 might surprise you. Sugar. I'm not talking about honey or maple syrup, just plain white granulated sugar. You can get a 4-pound bag for under $3 at most stores. Sugar is another one of those items that stores forever if you keep it dry and pest-free. Beyond the obvious use in food and beverages to boost morale, sugar is actually an incredible wound treatment. Medical studies have shown that packing deep wounds with granulated sugar can prevent infection and promote healing. It draws moisture out of the wound through osmosis, creating an environment where bacteria simply cannot survive. Sugar also gives you quick energy when you need a calorie spike, helps preserve fruits through canning, and can be fermented if you have the knowledge and equipment. In a barter situation, sugar becomes a luxury item pretty quickly. Think about how valuable a cup of coffee with real sugar would be to a neighbor after weeks of doing without. It is a comfort item that doubles as a medical supply. Moving on to number 5, we have aluminum foil. A standard roll costs maybe $4 or $5, and it is worth every penny. Aluminum foil is waterproof, heat-resistant, and highly reflective. Its versatility is unmatched. You can cook with it directly on coals, eliminating the need for heavy pans. You can use it as an improvised bowl or plate. You can fashion it into a makeshift funnel for pouring liquids. You can create a signal mirror for emergency situations to reflect sunlight at rescue aircraft. You can even use it to preserve food or protect plants from frost in a survival garden. The heavy-duty version is worth the extra $1 or $2 because it is more durable and reusable. I recommend keeping at least a dozen rolls stored away, mixing regular and heavy-duty types. In a grid-down scenario, aluminum foil becomes incredibly valuable because it solves so many problems with one simple, malleable item. Number 6 is plastic wrap. This costs about the same as aluminum foil, but serves entirely different purposes. Plastic wrap creates airtight seals, which is vital for hygiene. It protects wounds when you need to keep bandages dry while working or moving in rain. It waterproofs items and helps with food storage to prevent spoilage. You can even use it as an emergency greenhouse cover to keep seedlings warm. It is lightweight, takes up almost no space, and stores indefinitely. It might not seem like a hardcore survival prep, but you will want it when you need to seal a leaking pipe or keep a poultice in place on an injury. Number 7 is one I already mentioned, but it deserves its own deep dive on this list. Trash bags. Not just any trash bags, though. You want variety. Get the cheap, thin bags for regular garbage and sanitation. Get the heavy-duty contractor bags for serious work. Get the medium kitchen bags for everyday use. Here is why trash bags are so valuable. Beyond their obvious purpose of holding refuse, they are waterproof shelters when cut open. They act as ground covers to keep you dry while sleeping. They function as rain ponchos. They can be used as water collectors in a transpiration bag setup. They serve as blackout curtains to maintain light discipline. They can even be improvised gloves and emergency toilets when used with a bucket. A box of contractor bags costs roughly $15 for 32 bags. That's less than 50 cents per bag for something that can literally save your life from hypothermia. You should have at least 3 boxes of the heavy-duty type stored, plus several boxes of regular kitchen bags. You will go through these faster than you think in an emergency, because suddenly you're using them for 10 different purposes instead of just one. Number 8 is candles. Simple, cheap, old-school candles. You can get a pack of emergency candles for under $5, or grab taper candles and tea lights at dollar stores for even less. Candles provide light, obviously, but they also provide heat in small enclosed spaces. They can be used to cook with in a pinch if you have a proper stand. They help with navigation in the dark and create a psychological sense of normalcy during stressful situations. The thing about candles is they store forever if you keep them out of extreme heat. I have candles that are over a decade old and they burn just fine. Mix up your candle types to cover different needs. Get some long-burning pillar candles for duration, some tea lights for heating small amounts of water or food, and some emergency candles for reliability. From a barter perspective, when someone has been sitting in the dark for a week, a candle is worth way more than what you paid for it. Number 9 is something that vanished from store shelves in 2020 and taught a lot of people a hard lesson. Toilet paper. Everyone jokes about the toilet paper hoarding during the pandemic, but there was a reason people panicked over it. You really do not appreciate toilet paper until you do not have it. A 12-pack of decent toilet paper costs around $8 to $12 depending on the brand. That is not a huge investment for something that is essential for sanitation, hygiene, and morale. How much should you stockpile? I would say at minimum, you want enough for 3 to 6 months for everyone in your household. Do the math on how much you use in a week, multiply it out, and that is your baseline. Store it in a dry location and it will last for years. There is no expiration date on toilet paper. While there are alternatives like cloth wipes, toilet paper is the easiest and most hygienic method for waste disposal, especially if water is scarce and you cannot wash cloth alternatives. Number 10 is matches. Not just any matches, though. You want the strike anywhere kind if you can find them, and you definitely want waterproof or storm matches. A box of waterproof matches costs around $6 to $8 for about 25 matches. That might seem pricey per match, but these things will light in wind, rain, and snow. They are worth the investment for your bug-out bags and emergency kits. Regular matches are fine too for backup. Buy them by the dozen at dollar stores for next to nothing. Matches do not take up much space, they last for years if kept dry, and they are foolproof fire starting tools. Even if you have lighters and ferrocerium rods and all the fancy gear, matches are a reliable backup that requires zero skill to use. Stock up on both waterproof and regular matches because you want redundancy when it comes to the critical ability to make fire. Number 11 is lighters, specifically disposable lighters like the classic brand name versions. You can get these for $1 or $2 each, sometimes less if you buy in bulk. Lighters are compact, reliable, and they work in conditions where matches might struggle. A single lighter can provide thousands of lights before it runs out of fuel. My approach to lighters is to buy them by the dozen and scatter them everywhere. Put them in your emergency bags, every vehicle, every room of the house, jacket pockets, and toolboxes. They are so cheap and so useful that there's no reason not to have 30 or 40 of them tucked away. In a barter situation, a working lighter is going to be incredibly valuable to someone who does not have one, as fire is life in a survival scenario. Number 12 is a bit different: Ziploc bags and storage bags in various sizes. A box of gallon-sized bags costs around $4 for 40 bags. That is 10 cents per bag for something that keeps food fresh, organizes small items, waterproofs important documents, stores seeds for next year's garden, protects electronics from moisture, and has dozens of other uses. The freezer bags are worth getting because they are thicker and more durable. You can wash and reuse them multiple times if you're careful. Get multiple sizes, from sandwich bags up to the 2-gallon size if you can find them. These bags are space efficient to store, they last indefinitely, and you will find yourself reaching for them constantly in any kind of emergency situation to ration food or keep gear dry. Number 13 is duct tape. The running joke is that duct tape fixes everything, and while that is not technically true, it's not far off either. A roll of quality duct tape costs around $6 to $8, and it is worth every penny. Duct tape repairs gear, patches holes in clothing, secures loose items, creates splints for injuries, removes splinters, fixes shoes, patches tents, seals containers, and serves about 1,000 other uses. The key with duct tape is getting the good stuff. Cheap duct tape falls apart and doesn't stick well. Get name brand tape that has a thick adhesive layer. It costs more, but it actually works when you need it to. Keep at least 10 rolls stored away at any time. If you're not sure what to prep, duct tape is a no-brainer that will pay for itself over and over. Number 14 is paracord or general utility cord. You can get 100 feet of 550 paracord for around $10 to $15. That is incredibly cheap for something so useful. Paracord has a breaking strength of 550 pounds, hence the name, and it has multiple inner strands that can be used individually for lighter duty tasks like fishing line or sewing thread. You can use paracord for shelter building, securing gear, making traps and snares, creating clotheslines, crafting repairs, fashioning tourniquets in extreme emergencies, and basically any time you need strong rope. Keep several hundred feet of paracord stored. Also, stock up on cheaper utility cord for less critical tasks to save your good cordage for when it really matters. Cordage is one of those things humans have needed since the beginning of time. Number 15 is one that does not get talked about enough: safety pins. You can get a container of assorted safety pins for $2 or $3. Safety pins repair clothing without sewing, create improvised fishing hooks, hold bandages in place, organize small items, fashion into zipper pulls, and serve as emergency fasteners for just about anything. They are tiny, they weigh nothing, they never expire, and they are incredibly useful. This is one of those items that seems insignificant until you desperately need one and do not have it. Buy a few containers of various sizes and throw them in your storage. You'll be glad you did when a zipper breaks or a strap snaps. Number 16 is probably the most overlooked item on this entire list: paper products, specifically paper towels, napkins, and paper plates. A roll of paper towels costs around $2. A pack of paper plates is maybe $4. These are not long-term survival items, but they are incredible for short to medium-term situations. Here is why. In an emergency where water is scarce or you are trying to conserve propane for cooking, the last thing you want to do is waste water and fuel washing dishes. Paper plates are used once and done. Same with paper towels and napkins. They preserve your water supply for drinking and cooking, which is a much higher priority. Plus, paper products can be used as fire starter, wound coverings, improvised filters, and cleaning supplies. Having enough for a few weeks or a month can make a difficult situation much more manageable by maintaining sanitation standards without using precious resources. Number 17, the one I promised would surprise you, is lip balm. You can get a stick of lip balm for around $1 or $2. Your lips are comprised of some of the most sensitive skin on your body. When they get chapped and cracked, it is not just uncomfortable, it is a potential entry point for infection. Chapped lips can make it difficult to eat and drink. They crack and bleed, and they heal slowly without treatment. Lip balm is small, lightweight, lasts for years, and it possesses uses beyond just lips. You can use it as a fire starter because it is essentially petroleum jelly and wax. It works as a lubricant for small items, protection for minor cuts, prevention for blisters on your feet, and even as a moisture barrier against windburn. In a barter situation, luxury items like lip balm become surprisingly valuable because they offer immediate physical relief. Stock up on these, get a couple dozen, and scatter them in bags, pockets, and storage containers. Number 18 is bar soap. I know most people use liquid body wash these days, but bar soap is superior for storage. A bar of soap costs around $1 or less. It lasts longer than liquid soap, takes up less space, does not require plastic containers, and has an indefinite shelf life if kept dry. Soap is critical for hygiene and disease prevention. In a situation where medical care is limited or unavailable, staying clean can literally be the difference between life and death. Bar soap can also be grated to make laundry detergent, used to lubricate stuck screws and nails, and even used to mark surfaces for cutting. Get unscented soap if possible because it is more versatile and won't irritate sensitive skin. I would suggest stocking at least a dozen bars per person in your household, probably more. Number 19 is bleach. A gallon of plain bleach costs around $4 to $6. Bleach is a powerful disinfectant and water purification tool. 8 drops of regular unscented bleach per gallon of water will make it safe to drink after letting it sit for 30 minutes. Bleach sanitizes surfaces, disinfects tools, whitens clothes, removes mold and mildew, and kills harmful bacteria. The downside of bleach is it degrades over time. It loses potency after about 6 months to a year. The solution is to rotate your stock effectively. Buy a new gallon every few months, use the old one for cleaning, and always have fresh bleach available. Store it in a cool, dark place to maximize shelf life. Only buy plain bleach, avoiding the scented or splashless versions because those additives make it unsafe for water purification. Number 20 is something most people have but do not think to stockpile in quantity: batteries. A pack of AA or AAA batteries costs around $10 to $15, depending on brand and quantity.
Batteries power flashlights, radios, headlamps, and dozens of other critical devices. When the power goes out, batteries become essential. Do not just buy one size. Look at every battery-powered device you own and might use in an emergency. Flashlights, radios, headlamps, lanterns, weather radios, and medical devices all need power. Write down what battery types each one uses, then stock accordingly. I keep a spreadsheet with all my devices and battery requirements, so I know exactly what I need. Also, lithium batteries are worth the extra cost for long-term storage. They have a shelf life of 10 to 15 years compared to 5 to 7 years for alkaline batteries, and they perform better in cold weather. For devices you do not use regularly but need in emergencies, lithium batteries are the way to go. Number 21 is the last item on this list, and it is one that is going to be incredibly valuable in any barter situation: alcohol. I am not talking about drinking alcohol necessarily, though that has its place. I'm talking about rubbing alcohol, also called isopropyl alcohol. A bottle of rubbing alcohol costs around $2 to $3. Rubbing alcohol disinfects wounds and tools, cleans surfaces, removes adhesives, serves as a fire starter, and can even be used as fuel for alcohol stoves. It is also a key ingredient in homemade hand sanitizer. The 70% concentration is actually more effective for disinfection than the 91% because the water content helps it penetrate bacterial cells more effectively. For drinking alcohol, that's a personal choice, but from a preparedness standpoint, cheap vodka or whiskey can be used as a disinfectant, pain reliever, and barter item. People in stressful situations often want something to relieve anxiety, and alcohol has been a trade good throughout human history. So there you have it. 21 items that are cheap, easy to find, simple to store, and incredibly useful. Now, let me share something important. None of these items by themselves is going to save your life. Preparedness is not about having one magic item or one perfect plan. It is about layers of redundancy. It is about having multiple solutions to the same problem. It is about building up your supplies gradually over time so that when something happens, you are ready without having to panic buy. The beauty of the items on this list is that they are all things you can pick up on your regular shopping trips. You do not need to make special orders or drain your bank account. Just add a few extra items to your cart each week. This week, grab extra salt and sugar. Next week, pick up some candles and matches. The week after that, grab some duct tape and paracord. Before you know it, you have a solid stockpile without ever feeling the financial strain. I also want to address something that comes up whenever we talk about stockpiling. Some people worry about being selfish or hoarding. Here's my perspective on that. There's a huge difference between being prepared and being a hoarder. Hoarding is accumulating stuff without purpose or organization. Preparedness is intentionally gathering supplies you might need, storing them properly, rotating stock, and having a plan. When you prepare ahead of time, you are actually doing everyone a favor. You are not going to be part of the panic buying crowd when disaster strikes. You are not going to be depleting resources that others need. You are taking care of yourself and your family, which means you won't be a burden on emergency services or community resources. That's responsible, not selfish. Plus, when you have extra supplies, you're in a position to help others. I can't tell you how many times I've been able to help neighbors or friends because I had extra batteries or duct tape or matches or whatever they needed. Being prepared puts you in a position to be generous, and that's a good thing. Now, let me talk about barter for just a minute, because several of these items are excellent barter goods. In any kind of extended emergency where supply chains are disrupted, the items people need every day suddenly become incredibly valuable. A lighter that cost you $1 might be worth a dozen eggs or a can of soup to someone who doesn't have one. That roll of duct tape you paid $6 for might be worth a valuable service, like help with repairs or security. The key to successful barter is small, useful items that other people need but did not think to stockpile. Luxury items work too. Coffee, alcohol, tobacco, candy, spices, these are not necessities, but they make life more bearable. People will trade valuable things for comfort items when they are stressed. I am not suggesting you become a disaster profiteer. I'm saying that having extra supplies gives you options. You can help people, trade for things you need, and build community resilience. However, keep your stockpile private. Do not advertise what you have. In a real emergency situation, desperation makes people do things they would not normally do, and you do not want to become a target. One more thing I want to mention is that all the items on this list have something in common. They are skills optional. You do not need special training to use salt or duct tape or trash bags. They just work. That is important because in a high-stress emergency situation, you want things to be as simple as possible. Complex gear that requires practice and skill has its place, but these basic items are foolproof. That said, having practical skills multiplies the value of your supplies. Knowing how to preserve food makes your salt and vinegar more valuable.
Knowing basic first aid makes your bandages and rubbing alcohol more effective. Knowing how to start fires in different conditions makes your matches and lighters more reliable. I always encourage people to learn skills alongside building supplies because stuff can run out or break, but knowledge and skills are yours forever. Let me wrap this up with a few final thoughts. The biggest mistake I see new preppers make is thinking they need to buy everything at once. They get overwhelmed, spend a bunch of money, and then burn out. That is not sustainable. Start small. Pick 3 to 5 items from this list and focus on building those up over the next month. Next month, pick a few more. Build gradually and intentionally. Second, do not forget to rotate your supplies. Use what you store and store what you use. This keeps everything fresh, prevents waste, and ensures you actually know how to use your supplies when you need them. It is the difference between having stuff and being prepared. Third, involve your family or household in the process. Talk about why you're doing this. Make it a team effort. When everyone understands the plan and knows where supplies are stored, your preparedness level multiplies. Plus, it reduces stress and anxiety because everyone feels more secure knowing there is a plan. And finally, remember that preparedness is ultimately about peace of mind. It is about knowing that whatever life throws at you, you have options. You are not dependent on stores staying open or supply chains functioning. You can take care of yourself and the people you love. That is empowering, and that is what this is really all about. Remember, preparedness is a journey, not a destination. Start where you are, use what you have, and build from there. Stay safe, stay prepared, and take care.